And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight reaction. Joining us from Washington, Tom Rogan, a foreign affairs columnist. Here in New York, Tom Joscelyn, senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Okay, do you have a strategy when you're in your foundation for defense of democracies? You guys sit around and go, this is what we should do? Do you?
I think the U.S. military has a strategy. We already beat these guys once, and everybody conveniently forgets that, which is when they were al-Qaeda in Iraq, the mother organization of ISIS. A counterinsurgency strategy was put in place in Iraq, led by American forces, that systematically rolled back their hold on territory. And there were a number of specific things that were done by the U.S. military. This isn't just broad, speaking here about what to do.
This is the Petraeus strategy of getting the chieftains in the Sunni areas, buying them, whatever.
Correct.
To turn on the ISIS people or the al-Qaeda in Mesopotamia, and we won. But now they're in Syria. That's a different story, Mr. Rogan. So it's beyond the reach, and we have some advisors in Iraq, but not nearly enough. It's beyond our reach in Syria. So what would you do?
Well, I would disagree with you on that, Bill. I think it isn't beyond our reach, because if you look at Green Berets specifically, U.S. about the only country in the world that has special forces specifically orientated for what's called foreign internal defense. And the tribes in eastern Syria, in Deir ez-Zor, are very similar to the tribes in Anbar in the sense that they have been abused both by al-Qaeda in Iraq and ISIS. And so there is a natural affinity to join with a force that would win them basic freedom, would protect their women, would protect their governance structures. So I think if you could deploy those special forces, again, that takes risk. Easy for me to say, but I think we should do it.
What exactly is the risk, though? I mean, you have Turkey, which is a massive army. They don't help very much because they have their own internal crazy ISIS people there, and they play a game in Turkey, and they don't like the Kurds, and they don't like this, and they don't like that. But if we were to deploy American troops on Syrian soil, we would be exposed. I mean, we don't have a base of operations there. We don't have what we had in Iraq. We built up an infrastructure in Iraq. They'd just be out in the desert with all the other crazy people, would they not?
Well, that's true. There would be a risk, but I think you could calibrate the deployment in the sense of a management of risk, in terms of providing air cover, in terms of presenting deterrent posture against these.
But wouldn't it be easier if the Jordanian army entered into Syria? They're 300 miles away, plenty of them there.
Right. Well,
Go ahead.
One of the things is that the Jordanian intelligence service, the GID, is an exceptionally talented organization. I actually suspect, Bill, you're probably going to see some pretty overt raids by the Jordanians now because of the level of populist rage.
You can't count on the Turks, but I think the Jordanians, I hope they do something. Now, I don't know whether you guys know this or not, but on Friday, Susan Rice, national security person for President Obama, is now going to give a strategic talk to the Brookings Institution. I'm going to take credit for this because I've been saying for months that there is no strategy, but now a strategy is apparently going to appear on Friday. Do you have any confidence, Ms. Joscelyn, that this strategy is going to make any sense at all?
No, and the reason is because it has to start with defeating the jihadis militarily somewhere at some point. And really, right now, the Obama administration is committed to not really engaging them.
All right, so do you know why they don't have the will to do this? Is it an ideological thing?
I think it's partly ideological. I think it's partly an overreaction to the post-9/11 world. They believe that basically America itself overreacted in Afghanistan and Iraq.
But that's all in the past. Now we're seeing these terrible atrocities.
I agree with you.
And this crew, there's only 40,000 of them. That's all there are. I mean, that's what I said in the talking points, Mr. Rogan. There's only 40,000 of them. And you're telling me you can't wipe these people off the face of the earth? That's insane.
No, it is insane. It's also strategically insane because the problem is with Raqqa, a holy city, it has lineage. All of what ISIS does is not just about the physical acts of terror. It's about how it translates to other Salafi jihadists around the world. And you see this now in Libya, Pakistan, Afghanistan. You see it in terms of the inspiration of groups like Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, all competing, all trying to take on that mantle of we are the ordained servants of God. And unless you take them out very quickly in Syria, ISIS specifically, the Islamic State, what you do is you allow that ideology and that belief in the destructibility of America and Western democracy to prevail.
We look weak. And the only thing we can do right now, and I'm going to give you the last word, Ms. Joscelyn, is crush as many of them as we can. You can't negotiate with them. I think you can negotiate with Iran to some extent, but you can't negotiate with ISIS.
Well, I think you have to look at this as two sides of the same jihadi coin, both Iran and ISIS. They're fueling each other, basically.
We do. Although they oppose each other, the danger from them is the same danger, fanatical Islam.
True, and I'm a little more optimistic about our ability to get a foothold in Syria, particularly in eastern Syria. As Tom mentioned, the Shittite tribe in particular has tens of thousands of members who are opposed to ISIS. We could support the tribes on both sides of the border and go after them.
But we have to be there.
That's right.
And President Obama certainly does not want to do that. Gentlemen, thanks very much.